Hi, everyone. So, I have something new for you. This is Noble Dutch. So, just a quick little thing about them. They make high quality, plant-based, and convenient food that fuel your body and fits your routine. Whether you're juggling work, family, fitness, or personal goals, they make sure that you always have access to wholesome, gluten-free meals that, of course, you can trust. So, they have basically meals that you can get that are tasty, healthy, and ready in just 8 minutes. And again, it's vegetarian, it's gluten-free, and it's packed with 11 grams of protein. Yes, please. They have some meals, for example, like the instant jasmine rice and tomato sauce. And again, that's ready in 8 minutes. And it comes in 12 bowls, a carton, and it contains ingredients like jasmine rice, tomato sauce, chili oil, soya chunks, carrot and peas, and a spoon in case you need that as well. So basically, it's quick and easy. You would pour that jasmine rice and the carrots and those peas into a bowl, and then you would add boiling water up to the marked line inside of that bowl, close the lid, and let it sit for 8 minutes. And then you would open, add the needed amount of tomato sauce and chili oil into that bowl, stir, and enjoy. Very simple, very easy. So, you can earn Dunch points with every meal. You can basically get a point per dollar that you spend. You can get 60 free birthday Dunch points, and you can get 50 points per referral when you refer a friend as well. And that all kind of adds up. So if you're interested in that and you want to take part in this, you can head over to my link that helps support not only Noble Dunch, but also supports the podcast. And that is going to nobledunch.com/HEKVNLEC. And that link will also be in the show notes. Patreon, going strong. If you want to go over there and join in on the fun, we got 3 tiers on Canadian dollars. First tier is $3 a month, where you get these episodes ad free. You also get AMAs once a month, or Learn About Me episode once a month. And then on the second tier, which is $5 a month, you get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. That's right now Jersey Shore. We're currently in season 3. You can also go to the main feed, where there will be the first episode of every season released there, so you can try that before you head over to the Patreon. And then on the third tier, you get everything from the first 2 tiers, as well as coverage from a true crime documentary. We got the backlog of Ashley Madison documentary, Man with 1,000 Kids, Into the Fire, Lacey Peterson, and again, all those episodes for the first episode of each is in the main feed, so you can try that before you head over. So if you are interested, you can head over to patreon.com/realityt ×2, and you can sign up for whichever tier you feel for. Again, you can try before you buy, which basically means you can try any tier for a week before committing to it. Even if you are on if you are on tier 1 or the first tier and you want to go over to the second tier, you could still try that second tier for a week before committing to the upgrade. So again, that is at patreon.com/realityt ×2. And of course, the link is in the show notes, website, social media accounts. It's all available there. This episode is ad-free on the Patreon. So if you want to partake in that, you can head on over to patreon.com/realityt ×2. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be starting Age of Attraction. So this is going to be the first episode. So yeah, let's just hop into it. So we are in Canada. To be exact, we are in Whistler, which is in BC. So I've never been to BC, mind you. This area looks absolutely beautiful. And yeah, so that's where they are. We meet some of the cast. Now, I will start to pay more attention to the names further into the episode we get. But initially, I'm going to be like, that guy and that girl, like, 'cause I don't know their names. Um, and then we see Nick Vile and his wife, Natalie Joy. And they tell us the spiel of what is going to happen here. But before they tell us the spiel of what is going to happen here, we learn about their love story. Okay, y'all. So here's what they say. Um, well, they kind of go into everything. The spiel, their story, back to the spiel. Anyways, he says that no one's going to know each other's ages. To kind of answer that question of does age matter? Nick and Natalie are 18 years apart. Nick had reservations about pursuing her. Um, and, he's like, well, they want the same things. Again, like Nick is most likely at this point in his early 40s. And I believe Natalie is in her late 20s, maybe even mid to late 20s. So, yeah, like that, well, clearly it works for them at this point. But me, as a person who has watched Nick from the beginning of his television career to now, sir, you could try anything at this point because nothing else has worked. So let's try this. Okay. Anyways, um, will they be in the same place? Potentially even like the same movies. That is so true because it's like there are people even younger than me who don't know certain pop culture things that I know at 35 that they don't at and there's things that I don't know that maybe even someone in his age group would know? So it's like, yeah, will we even like the same movies? But they took a chance and clearly it worked. So here's the spiel. They will be exploring connections without asking ages. They will get to the promise room where they will then exchange these engagement type rings. I think that is the weirdest shit ever, but I digress. And then in that moment, they will reveal their ages. We will have an experience of this at the end of the episode. They will live together in the real world, meet each other's loved ones, and then they're going to decide whether or not they stay together or be single again. So this kind of feels a little bit like a Love is Blind type of experiment, I guess you should say, mixed in with a little bit of ultimatum because they're all dating each other. Well, because technically they do the same thing in Love is Blind as well, but it's kind of going to be like a mix of that. I just don't know how I feel with the rings. The rings are weird. But anyways, so Andrew, we meet Andrew. He has 2 kids. He says he typically dates younger women because it's quote unquote fun. But maybe quote unquote fun isn't what he needs right now. We'll see. Then one guy, don't know his name at this point, he tells us that he was married. He's divorced now, and he says it's kind of like a scarlet letter. I feel like this might have been Justin, I think, who's talking to Vanell. Um, but I really felt him in that because and he's a man. Imagine that scarlet letter pointed at a woman who's been divorced. And I've been through, like, I don't know if I ever went to those conversations here on the podcast, but when I made the decision to leave my ex, it was not a fun experience because I did have people who didn't want to pursue me any longer because I was married. It's kind of like you're used up or something. And um, telling my current boyfriend, that I was technically still legally married and going through a divorce was not fun for me. I mean, he took it well, but it wasn't fun for me. Um, because you are viewed, it's like you're being viewed as you've been used up or something, and it's not fair. So I definitely felt him with that. John apparently says that his friends think he looks like Prince Harry. He kind of does, not gonna lie. So he is looking for his Megan minus the family drama. Sir. Yeah, it's a lot of family drama now. Anyway, he is talking to Teresa, and she has been married twice, and she gets emotional about this. Um, she has 3 kids. Her oldest is 29, her middle one is 25, and the youngest is 20. But I think actually she's 21. She says it later. So dating someone in their 20s would be an interesting situation. So there'll be basically, I think this was kind of said by Nick and Natalie, that they're going to be doing activities each day. Certain people will be on those activities each day. Um, and you basically just go to this board. It will say what activity it is and who's going, and that's what you're going to be doing. So today's activity is going to be whitewater rafting. So I call him the young sexy dad, which I don't know why I called him that because I can't remember who that is. Um, and the Swifty girl, who also I can't remember her name, but she's blonde, really blonde, and she's a bit young. Anyways, they're hitting it off. She says she's not freaked out about him having kids. Great. I say he's young, but I don't know if he's actually young because I kind of now starting to remember who he is now. And yeah, we'll see if we get to him. Anyway, I call him George, but I think it's Jorge. Anyways, we see Jorge. He's talking with Fennell. We find out he was married at 26. He was divorced by 30. He has 2 kids, and he was a pastor's kid as well. So maybe, he's a freak leak. It's what he is. Anyways, he thinks that she has a peaceful personality, and she does. She does seem to have a peaceful personality. He is very out there with his personality, so maybe he kind of just wants someone who can keep him chill, keep him grounded, and that's kind of maybe what he's looking for. But Vanel does have another connection, and that is with Justin. Justin being the divorcee who felt like scarlet letters on him. That's who she's also talking to. So then we are with John, aka Prince Harry, and Teresa. He was a baseball player. What is with sports? What's with sports? I don't want to talk about anybody about sports, okay? I really don't. Alex ruined it for everybody. Anyways, so he thought he was going to go pro. Of course he did. It didn't happen. Did you have a torn ACL as well? What happened? I don't know if he told us what happened. I may have missed it, but he wanted to go pro. It didn't happen. Sounds like he may have. This is Alex all over again. Anyway, though I think he seemed like he's nice, but we'll see. She plays softball, so they do kind of connect on that. He makes references to League of Her Own and kind of be like, oh, you're kind of like League of Her Own. But he also doesn't know what the movie is. Like, he didn't say the title. He's like, what's that movie? League of Her. It's a freaking classic. Are you serious? You can't say League of Her Own? Starring Rosie O'Donnell, Gina Davis? He didn't even know Madonna was that actor because he clearly doesn't remember that Madonna is in that movie. You don't know the line that Tom Cruise says, there's no crying in baseball. Are you serious? I mean, I've seen the movie a couple times. It's been a really long time since I've seen it, but I mean, what the hell? Like, but anyways, that should have shown his age right there. But anyways, um, she says, and like, I think Madonna is in that. And this is where he says, Madonna acts? Actually, yes, sir, she has acted. Whether she's good at it is the question. She was okay. And I think she was okay in League of Her Own. There's another movie that she did. I cannot remember the name of it, but she was in the movie with the guy, the gay best friend. Well, I don't know if he considered the gay best friend, but the gay friend in um My Best Friend's Wedding. I cannot remember his name for the life of me right now. And she was not good in that. Was not good. But anyways, he asks if she has any siblings. And she says, well, this is a little bit of a tougher conversation, but she says, yes, she had a brother, but he did pass away. He asks, like, do you want to talk about it? She says, not right now. But then they have a moment. They kiss. And it was a great moment. Anyways, then we see Andrew and I wrote Libby. Yeah, I think it is Libby. It just makes me think of Elizabeth. Anyways, he asks, when was your last relationship? I think Andrew is the sexy dad and Libby's the Swiftie. Anyways, when was your last relationship? She's just like, this was weird. She's just like, um, I mean, do you mean like when did it end? Or do you mean like when it started? Bitch, he wants to know when it started, when it ended. He wants the whole situation. Usually, when someone asks that question, you usually lead with, oh, well, I was in a relationship for X amount of time. We ended a few months or whatever it was. That's usually how this goes. Why are you beating around the bush? That's a red freaking flag. What the hell is she hiding? That was weird. But she does eventually answer the question. She says that she met her ex in 12 months prior, and it only ended 5 months ago. That doesn't seem long enough to be on a thing like this, but that's okay. She says they broke up because he had things to fix. Okay. I don't know what that means, but sure thing. Then the group is going to do some wine tasting. And I just learned, because I didn't know what this meant, but I just learned, so now I gotta look for the legs. I just learned that the thicker the legs means more sugar. Because I don't like a dry wine. I need to have more, more buttery tasting wine. Okay, I did not know that. So I'm going to be looking for the legs next time. Anyways, so the one guy here named Tristan, he's going hard for this other woman named Erin. We haven't seen much of them, but he's going really hard and it's actually really disgusting. He's kind of saying like, the thicker the legs, like the sweeter, like the more sugar. And he responds with this little ditty. I hope I can find that out later. Ew. I don't know you. The fuck? Anyway, she's with me because she says, oh, sure, sure. I don't know about that. Um, and he's like, okay, well, are we gonna make out? Take the hint, sir. Read the room. She is maybe not that interested. She says that he reminds her of her 21-year-old nephew. She ain't gonna go to bed with you, sir. It ain't gonna happen. If she does, I'll have questions. Anyways, Vanelle is now with Justin. She likes him, but she also likes Jorge as well. But with Justin, um, he just kind of starts looking at her like he wants to kiss her, and she does say as much. And it just makes her giggly. Um, and then he does kiss her. I like Justin. I really like Justin. And I like him for her. Um, I mean, I like Jorge too. He's a good looking man. I don't know though. I think maybe the energy could be too much for her. It could be really draining for her. I think her and Justin seem to really complement each other really well. Um, but here's the issue too. Her dad has said, listen, I know you date older people. Okay, I get it. I can't make it not do it. So here's my only thing I ask of you. Please do not marry anyone who is 10 years older than you. That's all he asks. So Justin's like, well, I feel like I may be older than the requirement. And she says as much, and I agree with her. She says, listen, you don't know how old I am. You know, black don't crack. Girlfriend, yes. But I do think she's younger. But then again, I don't know. If people look at me and they think, well, I don't know if people still look at me now and think this, but I don't think I look my age, but people look at me and think I'm younger, at least 5 years younger, or if not, maybe potentially a little bit more than what I actually am. So it's very possible she could be in her 30s and have like the baby face of the baby faces. Who knows? But I do think she's quite young. It's just instinctively. I think it's not so much how she looks, it's her personality. I think she is quite young. And for him, I don't think he's as old as he actually is. I'm gonna say he's probably in his 40s. But then again, that's the problem. If she's in her 20s, he's in his 40s, then yes, he has bypassed the age deadline that her dad has put. So so with Teresa, she knows that she wants to see this through with John, aka Harry. And they're going to be heading to the promise room because why waste more time? So my guess here before we head into it, now we're going to get his age on this episode. We are not going to get her age until the next episode. So I'm going to be following that. Um, and I'm going to record whether or not I think they're going to make it based off of what I have here, and I'll make sure I record it kind of similar to what we do with Love is Blind and see where we're at. But I haven't actually done it yet. So, my guesses with their age is I guessed that she was 55 and I guessed that he is 35. All right, so that was my guess before we found out their ages. And so yeah, the rings are coming out. It's just weird. It's like my ring represents this, that, or the other. And it's like, this is weird. I don't think the rings should ever happen. I think we need to find something else that is not a ring because I don't know, do wear not my ring finger. I don't know, man. It's weird. Anyways, so he says, yes to his ring. She says yes to her ring. But now it's time to talk about the big elephant in the room. What are their ages? So he says, or as she says, sorry, I got big things to tell you, and that it's my age. You're gonna die. I don't think it's crazy. I mean, because I know her age now. She's the same age as my mom. I don't think that's crazy at all. I don't like she I here's the thing. She doesn't look her age per se, but I can see the life in her face, and that's why I thought 55. She's actually not 55, um, but I was real freaking close. So she is the same age as my mom, and um, I could just see the life in her face. And that's why I said 55. But I don't think she actually looks her age. She doesn't necessarily act her age. If anything, I think that her energy, her personality, it kind of rings more 40s than anything. But still, there is a huge age gap between these two. Huge. And she's hoping, with her age being what it is, that he is 38, which would make it a hell of a lot closer to what her age is, which would, if he was 38, it would be more like, um, math here, like 17 or so years apart, 17, 16 years apart. Not bad, but that is not his age. He's actually 27. And I said, holy shit. I gasped. How is this man 27? Sir, sir, the fact that people think you are older than you actually are and you present older than you actually are, it's not your personality, because I can actually see your age and your personality now that you say you're 27. But it's the fact that your face is already looking ancient. Listen, no offense to white people, not all white people, but what the fuck? Some of y'all will be like in their 40s and y'all look like you're in your 70s. What is happening? This man, and I'm noticing it because I not just, well, mainly with the Caucasian persuasion, I'm noticing that in this current generation, because he would, I guess, be considered a Gen Z, the Gen Z, older Gen Z generation, it's like, y'all are aging fast. Like, what is happening? Because I remember looking at someone who was supposed to be like 35. I feel like he's on Next Level Chef. He's supposed to be like 35 or something, or maybe it's a her. I can't remember, but whoever it is 35. And I remember thinking, I'm almost 35. I don't look like that. That person looks like they're in their 40s. And I feel like right now it's like like our generation is getting like we're looking older than we're supposed to be. Meanwhile, kids today are looking like they are also older than they're supposed to be. What is going on? This man is 27. I thought he was 35. She was hoping he's 38. He is 27. What is happening? My guy looks like he's lived life already and he's only 27. And I can understand if he's going for older women that, um, yeah, if he's going for older women who potentially are in their 50s, they hear 27, they're like, no, no, because most of them have kids his age. Y'all, let's not forget here. She has a 21-year-old, so only 6 years younger than him, a 25-year-old, only 2 years younger than him. He could be dating her daughter. And then a 29-year-old, 2 years older than him. This is going to be a shit show. I do not think this is going to work. Mainly because those kids are not going to accept this 27-year-old child, dating their mom, who is in her early 50s. It's just not going to happen. I think this is dead upon arrival, as honest to God. And the other thing I want to say before I head into my other spiel that I wanted to say here, the guy, the guy who was hitting on Aaron, forgot to mention this. He had said, listen, my mom is 19 years older than me. Same, same. My mom was also 19 years older than me. And he says that, if you're not, like, this might sound weird. Yes, yes, don't say it then. Please don't say it. But he says it. He says, if a woman I'm dating isn't as hot as my mom, like, I'm not going to date you or I'm not going to marry you, is what he says. Sir, if you're literally comparing women to your mom, who's going to be single for the rest of their life because ain't no woman going to want to be with a man who clearly wants to fuck his mom. Weird. So weird. I forgot about that. I had to mention that because I didn't write it down, but I remembered it. Anyway, do I think that age matters? I think it depends because I think it really depends on the person or the people who are in the relationship that can really look past the age. I do think men have their phases where they will date older women. Um, like my boyfriend's one of those people who has done it and whatever. And it's it's whatever, right? But it's whether or not you're going to be serious about it. I think if you have a certain maturity level, then yes, I think it can work. But, like, for example, Swifty girl and sexy dad, what was their names again? Whatever their names are, they I don't see that ever working because of her maturity level. I don't find her mature just based on how I'm seeing things with her. And it's not that she's a Swiftie. It's not that. But it's just like I just don't see it. But like someone with maybe like Fennell, I can kind of see it with her. Even I'll give it to John, even him. I can see there's a mature level with him. I don't think their issue is going to be a maturity level. Their issue is going to be the logistics. So I can see it working with. Um, yeah, I mean, have I dated people who are older than me? Yeah, I mean, I have. I always had a limit as to what I was willing to do, which was 10 years older, but I wouldn't do younger. I didn't want to do younger. I didn't want to be the cougar in the equation. I just didn't. Um, and I think the youngest I ever dated was like a year younger than me. Um, but again, even that difference within it, like the year, the maturity level, I didn't feel was there. We were both young, but it just wasn't quite there yet. So yeah. And I don't know, it just, I think sometimes, yes, it can work depending on the person, but I think certain things can come into the way. See, like someone like Nick and Natalie, he doesn't have children coming into this relationship. Yes, he's older, but he doesn't have that type of baggage coming in. I think if you've had a life, you've been married more than once, you have children, all of that, it's the children. The children ruin everything. It's the children. So I think that's where my issue is that if there are children involved, I think like it could pose problems for relationships. But yeah, would I do it? Not necessarily, no. Like I'm quite happy with the age gap between me and my boyfriend. It's 3 years. I'm perfectly okay with that. I think, that makes sense for me. And, whether he had kids or he didn't have kids coming into this relationship, like that I think can be dealt with a little bit more. It's the grown ass kids. It's the grown ass kids that ruin everything. Anyway, I know I would. My dad actually has dated younger. He had a girlfriend who was, I think, 18 years younger than him. I had to really adjust because she was closer to age to me than she was to him. And I had to really adjust to the idea of my dad, who at the time was in his 40s, and she was like, I think in her maybe mid to late 20s. I was 17. So it was like, I had to really adjust. I did. I managed to adjust, but, you know, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. But anyways, enough of my talking and spieling and all of this. That is it for me, y'all. That is it for this episode. Um, just as a little thing at the end here that I want to say, I'm going to be doing an episode with Ava. We're going to be talking about America's Next Top Model. And that's going to be exclusive to the Patreon. However, of course, I will be doing a sneak peek episode over here um, on the main feed as well. So you'll get a little taste of that. But that's going to be coming, I believe, probably next week. You're also going to be getting a bonus episode from Next Take Podcast as well, because I realized I didn't give you guys one last month. I completely forgot. But you're all going to be getting for that as well. And I'm looking forward to that too. But anyways, that is it for me, y'all. That is it for this episode. If you liked what you heard, bear with me because I have not done an outro for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps, You can like, follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at Reality T times 2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Reality times 2 pod, I believe. You can email me at realityt times 2 at hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/reality t times 2. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you can tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. You can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality t times 2, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro, but the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed. I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, we do things a little differently. You can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things, but you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website, solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.